Hello everyone! Welcome to another Let's Play of Quest for Glory 3. I am your host, Anna Mardall, and I want to talk for a bit. I know you're all shocked, right? So, let's talk about the Laban. Let's talk about the Leopard Men. I could talk about them for 40 minutes. No, don't click away. Don't click away. I'm going to try not to talk about them for 40 minutes. Okay. There's a lot of stuff about this game that makes me very uncomfortable because the first time you go through, an impression is created. Now, I do think that the goal was for the player to look back and see a bunch of clues and go, oh, okay. But because all of these things that I'm about to talk about were very subtle and are never canonically confirmed within the game, it really becomes more like headcanon that the world is the way it is. And headcanon cannot fix problematic representation. So let's talk about the Laban. I submit the theory that the Laban, as we know him and see him throughout the entire game, is meant to be possessed by the demon wizard or one of his underlings. Possessed by a demon. Evidence in favor. Rakesh notes that the Laban seems angry with him, despite the fact that they know each other fairly well and have worked together in the past and liked each other. And you could say, well, maybe he's angry because he knows we're here on a peace mission and he doesn't want to hear about it. But he doesn't seem to be angry with the hero, just with Rakesh. The demon wizard is furious with Rakesh. So if that was meant to be foreshadowing that the person controlling the Laban was angry at Rakesh and wasn't able to disguise his feelings perfectly, then that would work very well as foreshadowing. Next exhibit for this theory. Uhura feels that the Laban is acting incredibly out of character by pushing for this war. As a youth and throughout his entire life, as long as anyone has known him, in fact, he has been thoughtful, quiet, a listener, not hasty, not somebody who would rush into an ill-advised, dangerous war. And this is an ill-advised, dangerous war. He's suggesting that he round up all his people and drive them into the jungle where their type of fighting will be useless. Their type of fighting is to stand side by side, shield to shield, in kind of like almost like a pseudo phalanx like we've all seen in 300 and other war movies, or God, it's like Quest for Camelot. What's the song? Side by side, brother to brother, in truth, with justice for all, or whatever. Go watch Quest for Camelot. God, I was obsessed with that movie as a kid. I really liked that movie. But point being, sorry, wow, that took me less than 4 minutes to get off on a tangent and start singing. I'm sorry. But the point is, this is an ill-advised war that he's gonna the Simbani fighting style, which he knows. He's a warrior too. He's not some stuffed shirt who's never been in battle. He's a warrior. He's an experienced warrior. So their fighting style is to stand up side by side on the savannah, shields out, and protect each other. You can't do that in the jungle. There's all these trees and vines and shit everywhere. Their main weapon of choice is a spear, which requires open movement and air to swing it around and stab it and throw it. You can't do that in the jungle. Uhura tells us all this in her own HUD, so it's not like the writers weren't aware of it. She says their fighting style won't work in the jungle, and both she and Rakesh know that if the Simbani go to war, they will all die. And yet here's the Simbani leader pushing as hard as he possibly can for a war that will kill all his people, despite the fact that that's not in character for him at all. So If, again, that was meant to be foreshadowing for, oh crap, he's been possessed all this time, that would make a lot of sense. Then you have the council meeting where, after we've returned the Spear of Death and returned the Drum of War, or Drum of Magic, sorry, the Lyon is supposed to get up and say something like, we were upset, but we got our spear back and now everything's fine. And instead he gets up and starts reading the riot act about how the leopard men are the worst people in the whole world, and the leopard man leader turns on him and kills him, and this is an inciting act of violence for the whole war to begin. But it doesn't make sense, because you're like, Libon, dude, what the hell? Uncool. Because he was supposed to he knew what we were there for. He was supposed to get up and say, everything's fine now, we're cool, everything's cool. And instead he got up and deliberately incited a war. So again, if he was being controlled by the demon wizard, that makes perfect sense. Here's the problem with this theory that I genuinely believe was intended to be canon. I don't think this is something clever that I've come up with. I think it was the whole dang point of all of this. It's never confirmed. When the Libon dies, we don't see a little squiggle leave his body indicating possession, which is supposed to happen with possessed characters. It happens with the survivor, Khatib. The witnesses have seen the little squiggle leave his body, and it happened when the Leopardman leader died at the council because the squiggle left his body. The Libon doesn't get that for whatever reason. And it's not confirmed later in any kind of conversation. Like, Yesefu could say something like, man, I'm really sad about my dad dying, and also the fact that he's been possessed by a demon for 3 months. Yes, that would be awkward, but it could have been woven in to the dialogue. It never was. So I think that was intended to be the case, that from start to finish, we were supposed to, at the end, realize, oh shit, the Libon was possessed. If the Libon was possessed this entire time, it's a tragic story. He was a good, wise, kind leader who was taken over by a demon who pushed him to push his people into a war. And you could say, well, I don't know, if he's possessed, then why is he having to ask Tarna for permission to go to war? Why doesn't he just go? But the demon wizard, and actually this is actually one more exhibit for, if the Libon wants war so bad and he's not possessed, why doesn't he just go? If he's already okay with all his people dying and he's just making a foolish decision, then why not just, Leroy Jenkins it and just charge into the jungle and get everybody killed? If he's possessed by the demons, then it actually makes sense that even though he's totally pro-war, that he's holding himself back, because the demon wizard doesn't want the Symbani to go to war and wipe themselves out early. He doesn't want a Leroy Jenkins. He wants Tarna to get embroiled in the war so that the Tarna people, the people he has the actual beef with because he hates Rakish, he wants them to die. The Symbani are just a pawn to the demon wizard, and he doesn't want to sacrifice that pawn too early. So again, that's another exhibit in favor of the Libon being possessed. If the Libon is possessed, then it's a tragic story. He was a good leader who was taken over by it's like Saruman taking over, the Rohan King in the movies or whatever. It's sad. If he's not possessed, if you never notice that, because, and it's never made explicitly canon, so the player has to notice it, then the Libon is just this tribal leader who is cruel and bloodthirsty and warlike and foolish and totally willing to sacrifice all his people because war is cool. And my concern is that a lot of players would be totally okay with believing that about a black tribal leader, that, oh, well, he's just a big meathead who wants to fight the world and doesn't understand how wars and politics and tactics work. So that's a source of frustration for me, because it's like, if you're gonna play with these dynamics and have a twist that, aha, he was actually possessed the whole time, you definitely need to make that clear, especially if a failure to make that clear might reinforce in some players' minds stereotypes that they have about tribal communities and their leaders and African communities and so on and so forth. Same thing with, that brings me to segue into the leopard men who keep attacking us in the jungle. I think those quote unquote leopard men that we fight in the jungle are actually meant to be demons. They appear during the day, when we know leopard men don't appear during the day. They're asleep during the day. They're a nocturnal tribe. And yet during the day, wandering around the jungle are leopard men who attack people for no reason, try to murder them, and if those are actual leopard men, then our hero is slaughtering them by the potentially dozens. And they come across as kind of maybe deserving a good war or some kind of action, because, okay, sure, they didn't steal the Spear of Death, but they're attacking travelers left and right without checking who you are or what you want. So it's like they come across again as cruel and bloodthirsty and warlike, and the first sign of their drum being stolen, they'll murder anyone who walks into the jungle, no questions asked. That's terrible. However, if they're meant to be demons inciting people into war by killing travelers, and then anyone who escapes can tell stories about the scary leopard men, or anyone who kills them can tell stories about the scary leopard men, or, okay, some people die, but people will chalk it up to the leopard, whatever. The demons would be framing them as violent so that people would go to war against them. That makes perfect sense. Problem, again, when you kill them, there's no squiggle. It would be very nice to have the possession squiggle, and you don't get it. So, it's frustrating, because I feel like both of these things, I feel like the writers were trying to do, but they break their own world building by not following through with the possession squiggle. So, yeah, that's a source of frustration for me. And I talked about that because we talked to the Libon in the last game, and we got to talk to Uhura about how he's not usually like this. It doesn't make any sense. And I think that was meant to be foreshadowing. So, wow, that was like 15 minutes. I brought it down from 40 minutes to 15. Sorry. Now we're going to go talk to, I hope, Yosefu. Okay, good. So, here is a bug I ran into. Yosefu is... the way this is supposed to work is you come and see him 3 days, not necessarily in a row, just 3 separate days, and you become friends with him over time. There is a bug in the game where you can hit where he will only show up two days, and since he doesn't show up the 3rd day, you can't ask him to be your friend. And that means that you can't get the 3 points for asking him to be your friend. Their workaround for this is to sit down with him once. I will play the game. I'm not sure if you have to play the game, but I will play the game. So we're going to say no and stand up. Then we're going to ask him if he wants to play again. And he asks us to tell stories about our adventures in Spielberg and peace, so we do that. Then we're going to say no, we don't want to play again. And then we sit down a third time, all on the same day. And we tell about friendship. So the best thing to do would be the first time Yoseifu shows up to go ahead and get his friendship right then and there, because he may not show up a third time. Which... Ugh. Yeah, that made me not so thrilled. We cannot go back into the Laban's hut. I wish to talk to him, but we can't, because he will not allow you to visit for, I think it's like 3 days after you first show up, which is probably intended to indicate you hanging out around the village, getting to know people, getting to be liked, and then the Libon decides that he can't just ignore you forever. Or that ignoring you forever isn't working. Which, again, fits my demon wizard theory. Hello, dinosaur. Okay. Loud dinosaur. We've got his horn. I don't think we need it. That's something that paladins and fighters get so that they can engage in the initiation ritual, but... Hello. We're gonna go pet our cheetah. I missed you, baby, so much. We don't get points for this, but I will Huh? We don't get points for this, but I'll cast a Do you have to wait until the Impala leaves? There we go. And then we'll get some water to drink. I'm actually a bit surprised that we don't get points for... We do get points for filling our water skin from the pool, which makes sense because it's a ingredient for the Dispel Potion. I actually like that the Dispel Potion has different ingredients for each region. I almost have a headcanon that the reason the hero asks everyone he meets about it is not because he knows he's going to need one, but because he's just curious about the ingredients for the region, because it's achieving the same effect but with different local ingredients. So, you know, I can see him being like, oh, okay, you guys use a fruit of compassion? Yeah, in Spielberg, you needed to have a magic acorn. And it does vary. In Spielberg, we needed a magic acorn. In, Shapier, we needed the fruit of compassion, which was also from a tree, just not a dryad. And here you need the gift of the heart from the big tree, which is, again, also another tree ingredient. So I find that interesting from a lore perspective, that Dispel Potions all seem to take some kind of floral component that includes compassion or kindness or heart or something. Is it evening yet? Not quite. There is You may have to leave. There is an evening where the storyteller shows up and tells a story. And you get points for listening to that. I could not trigger that in my wizard playthrough. It was very frustrating, very buggy. I suspect that the paladin and fighter playthrough was worked out first. They certainly have the most to do by way of the initiation contest. I suspect that was worked out first, and the mage and the thief paths were worked out later, and probably not beta tested with the same rigor, which we've already seen that Sierra didn't beta test well to begin with. I also suspect that that kind of fighter focus is why they didn't notice that you couldn't import anything but fighters in Quest for Glory 2, because the import turned everybody into a fighter. Okay, now it's nighttime. It is nice to meet you, nighttime person. Usiku. Is the storyteller telling stories tonight? He is not. Well, let's go talk to Uhura. I do not believe that she has much new to say. She does mention that not very many of the families of the tribe are present right now because of how they split the time and seasons and areas. And that's an interesting way to justify why we don't see... I mean, this is a very small area, and we see like 5 or 6 distinct people. So, that's a nice way of explaining where everybody is. That this is the time of year when everyone else is somewhere else. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Sometimes the storyteller... Ah, here he is. He asks to hear about our adventures, so we tell him. And I don't know if you remember, but he has 3 stories. He has a story about the magic drum. He has a story about Uhura. And then before, he had a story about 2 boys that went through initiation together. And that was important for fighters and paladins. Now he has a new story for a magic user. I give you this story. Once there was a boy who could do magic. The people of his village did not believe in magic. The people of his village did not trust magic. The people of his village did not want the boy around. So the boy with the magic left the village. One day a terrible monster came to the village. This monster was big. This monster was magic. No warrior could defeat this monster. The boy with the magic came back to the village. The boy with the magic fought the terrible monster. The terrible monster fought the boy. The boy used his magic against the monster. The monster used his magic against the boy. The boy defeated the monster. The monster died. The monster defeated the boy. The boy died. Will the village now believe in magic? Will the village learn that magic can be good? Will the village now mourn the boy they sent away? I have given you this story. Now the questions are yours to do with what you will. Obviously from a gameplay perspective, they changed the story because they wanted something that would be meaningful to the player character. But since he has no way of knowing we're a magic user, unless somehow our notoriety reached his ears out here in the savannah as a wizard who saved Shapir, since he has no way to know that, I do like to believe that he's got some kind of low level, or maybe high level, he's got some kind of like future seeing skills or something, and knows more about us than what we're telling. Because how else would he know that we use magic? It's not like we're wearing a vest that says, ask me about my magic using. And yet there he had that story right for us. I wonder what he tells to a thief. That would be interesting. probably a story about a boy who stole things. I don't know that I've even played this game as a thief. I don't think I have. Because it just isn't conducive to thief skills at all. You go through feeling completely useless in many places. Okay. And if you're going to be a magic using thief, then you might as well just be a magic user who maybe sometimes steals things. Hopefully it's not so late that the bazaar is empty. I would like to meet with the thief. And you don't meet with him until he sees you and says, you gotta come see me. Okay, there's still people in the bazaar. We better save because we have run into a bug before where it didn't. This game, the third game, was notoriously buggy. There's like the initiation ritual bugs out for a lot of people, which is not good at all because once you start the initiation ritual, you can't just... Oh no. Come on. This road leads to the line to a portion of the city. Humans are not permitted there. Come on, come on, come on. Trigger. Gosh dang it. So that's a no. Oh! You've got to help me. Please help. No one around here is allowed to talk to me. I can't buy anything. No one will take my money. Wait, but... You get like 8 points for agreeing to meet with him. 4 points. So we can't blow past that. Yeah, that's not gonna work. We need to agree to meet with him for the points. That's so annoying. I think it was a mistake to make points event based because it's so easy to miss an event, especially when the scripts are written the way they are. He shouldn't show up until you've agreed to meet with him. Or if he does show up and you haven't already gotten those points, that would be better. He should... I'm not sitting in that far seat. It takes her forever to walk out. And I don't know why her walk animation... I don't know why anyone's walk animation doesn't have anything to do with the speed that you said. It's like the speed changes your speed, but nobody else's. Which is kind of weird. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. Okay, come on. We are going to get those 4 points. Gosh dang it. And we'll sit down for breakfast. Since the middle seat is open. Anything new? A boat was lost when the river... It was lost down the river when attacked by hippopotamus with glowing red eyes. That was a demon. I don't know why he looked like a hippopotamus, but... Alright, let's go try the bazaar again. He probably only shows up at certain times a day. Or like if you're coming up from the south side, maybe? Or maybe if the moon is in the 7th house. There we go. You gotta help me. I'm begging you. You gotta meet me in the bazaar tonight. Call me Harami. These guards get real cranky if they see me talking to you, so we can't talk long. The lions will walk through any minute now. We gotta split. Begging is for babies, I used to say, but you just gotta help me because I don't know anyone else. Fuck. Oh no. Oh no. I didn't save. Fine, what if we speed it up? No, shut up. No. No. Fuck. A pox on whoever coded this stupid game. So you gotta agree to meet him in order to get the points. But if you don't say it fast enough, he walks off. And you get no points. Okay, be calm. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. It is fun. It's just frustrating when it doesn't behave itself. And that's not the game's fault. It's the fault of Bob. Bob the tester. No, it probably wasn't the tester's fault. The tester probably... Cookie, is that the best way to get down? To just fall? You could jump. You jump. No? Just gonna fall. Okay. She was in the top of the cat tower, and she crawled over the edge, held on by her nails, and then just dropped. And that's not how I would have left, but... Okay. Yeah, shut up. Stop talking to me. Leave me alone. Alright. Save. That was gutsy. If this doesn't work, we can't go back and backtrack. Don't do that. Okay. You gotta help me. Agree to meet. There we go. Jeez Louise. 83 points. 4 points for agreeing to meet. We're going to go talk to Rakesh. Because one of the points I didn't get last time was telling Harami about Rakesh. And I think it's something like, if you're ever in any trouble, Rakesh will help you. But I don't know why we never had that option. Vengeance, no. Spear, no. Rakesh, no. Magic, East, Demons, Krisha. Well, And we don't have anything to do except wait around until nightfall and meet with the thief. Which is, I must say, rather vexing. So, what do we do when we have time to kill? Well, the obvious answer is we pick up 1,000,000 rocks and we practice our strength and throwing until we don't have any more peace pool water anymore. Interestingly enough, even picking up the rocks decreases your stamina. Oh, and we do have Keep on Laughing's gift to open, which we might as well do now. So, when we left Shape here, our father, the Sultan, asked the magic shop owner if he would please give us an appropriate gift, what with being magic users. So here it is. We haven't opened it yet. What's in it? It might be something interesting. It blew up our face. That old keep on, what a joker, you say to yourself. Well, that's a crappy gift and kind of mean because we're the son of a sultan. But we still have the wrapping paper in our inventory. It's all that remains of Keep on Laughing's gift. He certainly has a strange sense of humor. That's an interesting wrapping paper design. In fact, as you look at it more carefully, you realize that a spell is written on it. You read the spell and the paper disappears. You now know the juggling light spell. Oh, well, isn't it pretty? That's very cool. Well, we will forgive him for blowing up our face. And we've got 22 more stamina to pick up rocks. Alright, now we're exhausted. That's alright. So we will take some, and now let the grand throwing of rocks commence. We are at 200 throwing and 200 strength. And now we just merrily throw while the sun moves through the sky, which we don't actually see. Everything we do is tiring. 237 throwing and 3 strength. Strength seems to be going up by the rule of 3 that we've observed with the training so often, that it seems to go up in 3s with the occasional leap of 5. Which is interesting. Never 2 or 4 that I've seen. Or at least, not that I've noticed. Oh, well, there's a 4. Okay, call me a liar. 2007, or 207, and throwing to 74. Throwing is going up by just leaps and bounds, and I really have to assume that that was some kind of correction from the second game, where we had to throw and 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 throw in order to get anywhere. I think you can max out throwing in like 3 swipes of the stamina here. Now, maybe it takes longer and is harder when you're throwing spears at the throwing range. You know, for all I know, maybe the rocks are bugged in some way. Or are just higher earners because you can throw so many of them so quickly. Went up 3 here, and throwing is maxed out. So, I mean, we're done with throwing. But we're not done with throwing because there's really no better way to work on our strength. Which is... So it's like we changed one problem for another one. We had to throw and throw and throw and throw and throw and throw in Shapir in order to get our throwing to go up, but our strength was maxed out. Now we have to throw and throw and throw and throw because we had to get our strength up even though our throwing is maxed out. It's like, guys... What was going on in the Sierra quality assurance team back in the 90s? That's what I want to know. I think it was 90s. Oh, that was the sound of a kitten knocking something over. Hey, we went up 7 points. We were at 210. So 7 is way better of a jump than 5 or 3. Not going to complain about that. Many things we're complaining about, but not that one. And we ran out of rocks. And we're at 220 for strength. What time is it? It's still very early in the day. We could spam some magic a little bit. We're at 252, but remember we started at 250, so we've really only gone up. And wow, juggling lights is going to be a pain in the ass to spam because it takes several seconds to do its thing. I wanted to get it up to 100 because, you know, it's our least trained skill, but yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll use a save game editor. My philosophy of save game editors is, if I could have, not save game editor, well, this would be the import editor. If I could have done it by using my time, and it was just a matter of me not wanting to use my time, then just use the editor. Reclaim your time. Life's too short. We die too soon. Don't spend your time doing tedious video game things that you can do with a save game editor, basically. Thank you for telling me that it's time to go to bed. It doesn't really help, does it, to set your phone to tell you when it's time to go to bed if you don't actually believe it or listen to it. That was the problem. I need to go to bed earlier than I've been doing. So, and I haven't had the discipline to watch the clock and go, okay, it's 10 p.m. I need to start I need to go to bed, or at least start getting ready for bed. I need to make movements towards the bed. So I thought, well, obviously the problem is that I just don't know what time it is. Which is sometimes true. ADD means I get hyper-focused on things and do it for a long, long time and lose track of time. And suddenly it's like, oh my god, that was 6 hours have passed. So to a certain extent, maybe the problem is I just don't know what time it is. Wasn't the worst idea I've ever had. So I set my clock to on my phone to tell me when it's 10 o'clock. And the last, 3 nights in a row, it's gone off in the middle of a Quest for Glory playthrough. And what I don't do is wrap up the Quest for Glory playthrough and go to bed. Because my phone's not the boss of me. So that particular plan is not going 100% to plan. Man, I can hear those kittens moving something around. I never know how much the mic picks up, but I'm like, what are they doing in there? Okay, so we were at 17, so we went up 8 points, but we did have a vigor pause in between that I didn't look because I forgot to look. I should be grateful that strength is going up at all, but I wish it went up faster. Because obviously this is tedious and tiring. And did, alright, so 5, 6, 7 points. Sad that we didn't get to keep our EOF card stating that we were a fighter member in good standing. And then I started thinking about how the fighter especially just sort of joins organizations. He's an EOF member. He's a Symbani warrior. And how meaningful can those joinings be, really, when you're collecting them every couple of months? And then I got tickled imagining him like me with when I go to Sam's or Costco with my parents, and I'm like, am I still a Costco member in good standing? And they check my account and it's like, no ma'am, your membership expired 7 years ago or whatever. And it's like, oh, sorry, never mind. You know, it's like that would be the fighter, though, to show up somewhere and be like, oh, well, I'm an EUF member. And then they check their records and like, you haven't actually paid your dues in 6 years. Well, I've been saving other lands and peoples. I meant to keep up on my dues. Sorry, I tickle myself sometimes. Okay. Back to the pebble throwing. And I think if we can get to 250, that'll be the goal and then we can go back to, I don't know, wasting time by walking around the savannah. I hate to do that, but the time goes so slow in the instance that you basically have to. Because it's not even midday. Which is just, ugh. Throw rocks at the body, which probably smells pretty bad right now. Fight, throw, kick, throw harder, throw more. $242 for strength, and we're not overloaded anymore. So yeah, that's it. We're calling a day on throwing. I am done throwing. We're just gonna zip around for a little while, and eventually it should be evening. Come on. You know what, dude? I needed to practice my magic anyway. And you look like a great big magic target. 3 royals. 3. What are they doing in there? They're really getting wild. I don't know what they're doing. I'm afraid to look. It's like, it's not a good sound. It's like they got something they're not supposed to play with and they're having a blast. I can tell they're not hurt because they would cry if they were hurt. If I suddenly go, be right back and run off, that's why, but they're not hurt. You came You don't know how glad I am to see you, just to have someone to talk to. You have no idea how terrible it is to be without Hunter and Tarna. You don't know how good it is to hear someone say that to me. We can ask about help, thief, Tarna, rumors. I don't see a way to tell him about Rakesh. Let's, oops, I did not. I lost a space. Let's say goodbye for now. And we're gonna... That's a speed bug. For him to be like, wait, don't go. Inch our way off the screen. Okay. Oh, Jesus. No, 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 no. No, why did you turn around? Oh, fuck. No. Yeah, no, fuck that. Alright, we're gonna greet him, and we're gonna say goodbye. And we're gonna walk off the screen quickly. And we're gonna go visit Rakesh and tell him about the thief. And I'm gonna Google. I can't ask either of them about the thief. On the third night of meeting Harami, I'm supposed to be able to tell him about Rakesh. However, the dialogue is same as the second night. Tell about mission. Does anyone know what I need to trigger to be able to tell him about Rakesh? I think I know what the problem is. It's the bug with the timer. You can find the correct patch to fix this here. Either that did it or it spontaneously fixed itself. Great. I think it's impossible to get full points in Quest for Glory 3. That would be hilarious. You came. Okay, so... I've remembered that the points don't add up, and after looking around this seems to be true. Only the fighter is able to get full points, and then some. Some people say that some of the points are bugged, some that there just aren't enough of them. Going by one of the points list, it looks like there aren't enough of them. You could try counting them all manually at the official Sierra point list to confirm. The only time I've ever gotten more than 500 was starting as a fighter and ending as a paladin. Can confirm the points are bugged. They aren't bugged, they just don't add up to 500 for the pure fighter, wizard, or thief. The points list released way back confirmed that. Oh my god, how could they not? You're kidding me. How could they not notice that? I'm gonna... Am I having... I can't deal with the fact that they didn't notice that if you played as anything other than a fighter becoming a paladin, that you can't get full points? How could they not notice that? Did they hack it's like they hacked the sequel out with a machete. Harami doesn't advance to the next day of dialogue until you've left the Tarna screen of the world map and come back. So click on the mouth on yourself all you want. It still won't come up until you've gotten to the third day of dialogue. Oh my god. How could they not notice that? So, the end of Quest for Glory 2 said, come back and play Quest for Glory 3, Shadows of Darkness. And then you pull up Quest for Glory 3 and it's Wages of War. And at the end of Wages of War it says, come back for Quest for Glory 4, Shadows of Darkness. They definitely had Shadows of Darkness planned out.
And it makes sense because it's a continuation of Aravis's story quite directly. Wages of War was sort of slammed into place between the two because I think somebody pointed out or said that the heroes still needed more experience. And probably the company needed more money. But it makes sense. Quest for Glory 4 feels like, honestly, it feels like an ending. I was a little surprised when they came out with Quest for Glory 5. It feels like a very difficult, very hard campaign that is appropriate for a veteran hero. He didn't do this when we were what do you call it? Okay. Quest for Glory 4 feels like an ending. It feels like a veteran campaign. It feels like a culmination. That this is where you would go and who you would be at the end of a long journey going from zero to hero, basically. Oh man, now I've got the Hercules song in my head. Da, 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 da. So it actually makes sense. I do agree that so these are the Night Guards. I don't think they have anything else new to say. I really do not think they have. My mother died in the last war when I was but a cub. I literally think that this is the same dialogue as the... I guess a lot of mothers died in that war, so it's... No, I think those are the same two guys. I don't think they sleep. So it actually does make sense. It was probably also a cash grab, both and. But it actually does make sense to me that somebody says, you know what, the hero in Quest for Glory 2 needs some more experience before Quest for Glory 4. Because Quest for Glory 4 was, like I said, a very definitive ending in a way that it felt like an established hero would do. So I do think that Quest for Glory 3 added to that by adding to your repertoire of hero skills. You weren't just some guy who managed to fix Spielberg and then lucked into a prophecy in Shapir. You actually then went and started cleaning up some of the unintended consequences of your Shapir adventures. So in that regard, I think Quest for Glory 3 was the right decision. Having said that, the timeline on it had to be... I don't know what it was. We'd have to look it up. But it feels like it was very rushed. And then, of course, they had this whole new image engine. So you've got all these changes, and on top of that, a probably very rushed timescale. It's not really surprising to me that it is as buggy as it is. Honestly, the fact that it works at all is probably a miracle. But having said that, how do you not notice that the points don't add up properly? How do you not notice that? That's what's gonna keep me awake tonight, wondering, how do you not notice that the points don't add up properly? The only thing I can think is that they must have added up properly at one time, and then something must have gotten edited out that walled you off from some points. But still, geez Louise, that is just mind-boggling. So, well, I'm glad that I was able to push past the OCD and I didn't start over my paladin. Like, well, if we didn't get full points, it's not even worth it. I'm glad we didn't do that. And that kind of takes the pressure off for getting full points furthermore from here on out. I would like to tell Harami. So the whole point, you're supposed to tell Harami about Rakesh and basically say, look, if anything ever happens to me, you can go to Krisha's home and Rakesh will help you. He's a paladin. And that makes sense because later, whenever Rakesh comes to get you in the end game, he brings Harami with him. And up to that point, he and Harami had no interaction. I don't even think he'd seen the thief. So it didn't really make a lot of sense. But if you had spoken to him and said, look, if you ever need help, go get Rakesh, he'll help you, then it makes perfect sense. But since we hadn't done that in the last game, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I guess you could still hand wave the meeting because, in theory, Rakesh becomes honorless as soon as war begins because he pledged his honor. And so, maybe he met with the other honorless thief because, I don't know, maybe Harami heard he'd been declared honorless and tracked him down. Not sure. And God, that really puts Krisha in a terrible position because Krisha's whole life revolves around serving the people of the city with her magic. And she can no longer associate with Rakesh, her husband, her life mate, if he's honorless. He can't just come by her house at night and she'd hang out with him because you're not supposed to acknowledge honorless ones. And I'm sure if she did it in total flagrant violation, somebody would be like, you're on the Council of Judgment. This isn't appropriate. So, I've always felt sorry for Krisha about the situation that puts her in. Of course, hopefully we fix that by fixing everything. But then we never really know that because... I didn't mean to say goodbye, but it doesn't matter. Laws in Tarna are very literal. So it's possible that Rakesh has lost his honor forever and won't get it back even though we brought peace by destroying the demons. Maybe not. Maybe. Who knows? I don't think we're going to see the storyteller. So that frustrates me. We saw him in the evening as a paladin, but I don't think we're going to see him now. That's the second day that he appears to play Awari. The problem wasn't the second day. The problem was the third day. He didn't show up for our third day because of a bug. So that was our second video. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut the video here. And when we pick up in the third video, we'll pick up on Wizard 3. So what we're going to do is, when we were playing as Paladin, we had to be very careful to not do any throwing of spears at the target. Because if we did, that triggered the prisoner showing up. And I don't like leaving Jahari as a prisoner in the cage. That emotionally upsets me. So, I tried then and I'll try now. I tried to not do things which would cause the story to move forward. In the Paladin playthrough, that meant avoiding the target range. Hold on. Sorry. Wow. We might as well be doing this while I talk. And this gets our communication up. And our honor, actually, but our honor's already maxed out. So, in a paladin playthrough, not moving the story along meant avoiding the target range because I didn't want the prisoner to show up and have to stay in the cage while I went and grinded all my skills. What causes the story to show up, to move forward, and what causes the prisoner to show up in this Magic User playthrough, and I ran into this, and this is when I hit the bug that Yusufu wouldn't show up anymore. What causes the game to advance for the Magic User is us going to get the ingredients for the magic staff that Krisha is going to cast a ritual on with us. Which makes sense because when Rakesh was here in the hut, he even said, oh, hey, I suggest that you work on the magic ritual that Krisha wants to do with you because I think you're going to need all you can get in order to defeat the demons. So that was kind of like a hint going, by the way, cough, cough, if you want the game to move forward, if you want the plot to continue, go get your magic staff ingredients. So when we go and do that, Johari will show up as a prisoner, which means that we will not be going to do that for a while because I like to save her showing up as a prisoner for last because I don't like to keep her in the cage any longer than absolutely necessary. So the next few videos will be us going around and collecting some more points and additionally collecting some more skills and maxing them out. So, wow, we're only at 56. So I'm going to pause the video here and I will see you. We'll just go ahead and get a head start on that. I will see you in the next video. Once again, my name is Anna Mardal, and this is Quest for Glory 3. Thank you so much for coming along, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.